Once again, a very warm welcome. Good afternoon to the second session on Academic Leadership Program. And the theme of this session is collaboration and inclusivity. Here we'll have a few more students, parent, industry to present their views and perspectives. In such a diverse world of genders, voices, cultures, ideas, backgrounds, collaboration and inclusivity works probably the best and for long. But there are inherent challenges which needs to be looked at, which needs to be addressed, and maybe probable solutions may come to the fore. To elaborate on this concept more, I would like to now invite Dean, School of Business, Sushant University, Dr. Milind.
A very good afternoon. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on Thursday afternoon. Today, we have an amazing panel on collaboration and inclusivity, where we will talking about the big trends. We need to keep our eyes on that directly impact your organizations. I will share an old and new philosophy regarding collaboration and inclusiveness. As in Maha-Upanishad, the Indian thought talks about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, means the world is our family. And from the current modern world or current practicing world, Sundar Pichai talks about a diverse mix of voices leads to better discussion, decisions, and outcome for everyone. So today we are going to talk about diversity, collaboration, and inclusivity. And I must tell you that collaboration and inclusivity is a byproduct of diversity. And the best way, what we heard in Tata, respecting everyone as a first example when you try to include people in your workplace. The implementation of diversity and inclusiveness has become prerogative for most contemporary organizations. A diverse and inclusive work environment is better prepared for today, digital and culturally dynamic business world. Most firms that embrace diversity and inclusion in their business outperform their peers. Team diversity plus inclusion promotes effective collaboration and success. Workplace collaboration, inclusiveness, and diversity are about embracing individual differences that exist in a workforce. This diversity often refers to employees' differences in number of things. It could be racial, gender, sexual orientation, political, religious, socio-economical, and geographic. To a millennial, diversity means combining the variations in background, perspective, and experiences. Today, we will understand from our diverse panelists the importance of diversity and inclusiveness and collaboration, how it creates creativity and innovations, enhanced decision-making, product and service diversity, attraction of pool of the best talents, better performance, and lower employee turnover. We will also try to expect from the panel today that how to encourage collaboration in diverse workforce to improve on company core values of diversity, inclusion and teamwork, support workplace flexibility, encourage communication, transparency, equal opportunity and representation, fair treatment, and above all, as in a panel, we have students, parents, and the industry, education and training on diversity and inclusion, and many more. So at the end of my concept note, today we will talk about and we will listen a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy that we can apply to become more successful in our own organization, either it is the academic world or either it is a business world. So if I put collaboration and inclusiveness and diversity in a simple line, which talks about diversity is getting an invitation to a party and inclusion is being asked to dance with others. So I welcome to all the participants to discuss, and we are excited to hear from all the stakeholders about inclusiveness, diversity, and collaboration. Over to you, Shaili ma'am.
Dr. Milind, thank you very much for setting the tone of this session on collaboration and inclusivity. Thank you very much. And for all our viewers, this session is structured to include, again, varied perspectives. The first 10 minutes are devoted to the student voices, wherein we'll hear Zohra Fatima and Sahana Arya. Thereafter, we shall hear a parent view by Dr. Manjari Singh. And then the representative from the industry we have as a panelist here is Bikram Nayak. Then the panel discussion ensues. Thereafter, we'll also encourage you to probably pose certain questions and perspectives regarding this session. And then we will have a session summary followed by the vote of thanks by Tanya Verma. So now let's begin with the student voices. And the first student voice that we will have is Zohra Fatima. Now, Zohra Fatima, a final year architecture student of Sushant School of Art and Architecture. I welcome you. And she's doing her internship currently with the healthcare department of RSMS. So keen interest she has in production designing and the hospitality sector. Zohra, warm welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. I would really like to take this moment, first of all, to thank everyone and to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of such an esteemed panel. Now, when I got to know about this topic, collaboration and inclusivity, the first thought that came to my mind was that I would start with a quote, a very cliche quote, that together we can. And that actually left me thinking that that isn't what I really feel about it right now. Because when this session actually started, just 5 minutes before starting this session, I went outside into my living area, told everyone that I have a webinar right now. Please do not knock. Please do not switch off the Wi-Fi just to make me come out of my room, because I'm in the middle of a webinar and I would need proper connectivity and no disturbance at all of any kind. They just looked at me and said, yeah, okay, we understand. And that's when it struck me that this is something that we as a family has been doing for the past 15 months. This type of collaboration that I never thought would come from my family, because you never really think about collaboration in terms of people who are connected very, by blood. I never really used to think about it, that it was a very silent thing that we used to do. We used to support each other. But now when we see that the work that has come home now, it is not that we haven't segregated. There's a work area, there's a home area. It's all together. We are working and we are living in the same environment. We are sharing everything now. So this type of collaboration, I never thought that I could experience with my own family. So that was something that actually stuck with me, and it is still stuck with me, that I have been collaborating on such a great level without even realizing it. There are a lot of ways how we collaborate in our day-to-day life with our juniors, with our seniors, with our batchmates, with our teachers, with our friends, but never like this. So I think it is all, the credit is given to the pandemic. I don't want to say this, but it is. It has got really good things out of us. It has shown us the importance of teamwork. It has shown us how diverse our work environment may be. We can all come together and work in the same environment. Moving on, whenever I think about collaboration, I need to think about how it has changed from the pre-pandemic era and to now what we are actually living in. So whenever we used to have a problem in college, for example, regarding anything, for example, even if we are not able to do a software, or if our juniors are struggling with a small detail, we would go up to them, tell them, oh, this is how it's done. Or we would actually hold these seminars, these peer learning initiatives that we actually took to reach out to them and help them. But and that's when I thought that this is like the best we can do to collaborate. Like, we always had this thought process that collaboration means when two groups or two individuals are coming together to help each other out, and we actually had boundaries to that definition. We never really explored much, and we always thought that this is it to a relationship. This is like the maximum that can come out of it. Even with our teachers, we always used to go to them that, oh, we have a problem, please help us out, and they would do that. And that's when I thought that, okay, this is it. This is going to be a one-way learning experience with them. They'll always teach us and we'll be the learners. But then as soon as the pandemic broke in and we saw things completely changing, we thought that education was only a one-on-one session in a closed classroom. We never really thought that it could have been the way it is now, where we sitting in, for example, one person sitting in Bhopal, the other person sitting in Kerala could actually learn the same thing as the person who's teaching in New Delhi. So this was something that was very exciting for us to all to learn how to be respective of each other's time, how to be respective of each other's home because we're all working from home, and how to actually completely break that boundary and reach out to these people. So when this pandemic started, we saw that our teachers also needed some type of help. For example, even if it was as small as annotating on Zoom, and we were always happy to help because we have seen the cycle how our teachers used to help us with our smallest thing as a line weight, and this was just a cycle. And then I realized that, oh, there is much more to collaboration than what I thought. Then again, it surprised me when the second wave hit us, and we saw that everybody was a leader. There wasn't one person who was actually leading something. We were all trying to be there for each other. Even if it was calling up hospitals at 3 a.m. at night for somebody who is sitting in Hyderabad and we don't even know that person. It is somebody's friends, Mosas, Larka, and we don't even know that person, but we are all just trying to be there for each other, trying to collaborate with the healthcare department, trying to reach out to the chemists, trying to reach out to the grocery stores so that our friend does not go hungry who's looking after her family. So these were the things when we started noticing that this has a different dimension to what we thought of collaboration. And whenever we think of collaboration, we always think about inclusivity. I'll tell you how. When the second wave struck us, there were a lot of groups that were made, these helpline groups where we were actually reaching out, amplifying if somebody needed help. And we thought that, oh my God, we are reaching out to so many people through this. But whenever we are trying to include, there's always exclusion as well. We are also in some way, not intentionally, but this is a process of inclusion that we are excluding some people. And this is the very truth of our society. Even sometimes we do it deliberately, and sometimes it is just a part of making some groups and some people are left out. So whenever I'm thanking the laws that thankfully I have a laptop or even internet connection or even a mobile phone for that matter, I also realize that there's a major chunk of our society who is not able to actually get the advantage of what has been provided to us by the society. Be it our merit or be it our resources that we have, there is a big major chunk of our society who is not able to actually get the benefit of such thing as an internet connection, connectivity as well. So to think that we have included all the people that we know, we are also excluding. That is really something that we need to think about, because there are a few technologies, there are a few things that we haven't tapped into when we are trying to get a lot of people on board with this type of education. Be it the conditions that we are living in or the division that we have in our society, be it caste divisions, be it the poverty and the rich division that we have. There are a lot of people who are not able to benefit from it. So how do we reach out to them? So I was reading about how we can actually broadcast more to these people. And there was something that we haven't tapped into, and that is the radio broadcasting. That is something that we used to use even in even in world wars, even when there was a pandemic years ago. We used to use that for just for broadcasting the news, but we haven't really used that for our educational purposes. So I really think, and I really would like to question myself even throughout this panel discussion, that how do we include and how do we not exclude? How do we make these demarcations? Where do we draw the line when we are talking about collaboration? And how do we as a society grow from this so that there are more people who feel included, because feeling included and being included are two very different things. So this is something that I would like to start this discussion with, and I hope that I get my answer for this. Over to you, Shelly ma'am.
In the brief time that was given to you, you actually gave a sense of what collaboration inclusivity is and can be, with real life illustrations and an interesting angle of broadcasting, the role of broadcasting. We'll talk about it more. In the meanwhile, we will be joined by another student of ours, Sahana Arya. Welcome, Sahana, a third year law student in Sushant University. And she actually has been at the forefront in organizing, participating various academic and extracurricular activities in the university. And also at this stage, she has conducted 2 lectures for the entire university. A warm welcome, Sahana Arya. And we'd like to hear your views.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Firstly, I'd like to start saying thank you so much for this opportunity. And talking about this, like collaboration and inclusivity, is a very important topic, not just as a student, but for every professional, irrespective of their field. Because during these disruptive times, it's very important for us to collaborate, to cooperate with each other. Especially as a student, it's important for me to cooperate with my teacher, because you never know, like Zora mentioned, that we are as well helping the teachers, the professors, in working with the technology, something that they are not really used to. And secondly, inclusivity, again, like Zora said, being inclusive and feeling included are two different topics altogether. And especially for someone like me, like ma'am said, that I've been in the forefront, not just in the online mode, but also during the offline. And I personally prefer offline because I love doing a lot of work, going from here to there, whether it's as a law student being or in the organizing committee of a moot court, or organizing fairs, or helping my friends do work. So it's very sad that I have to work online, though it's a new norm, but that's true. Secondly, it's not just feeling included through external aspects, but also internally. Sometimes during these tough times, sometimes we don't feel like being a part of it. I've seen my friends, people I work with in different organizations, that they are in the forefront when it's in offline, but because it's online, they don't feel like working. Even though they're getting the opportunity, they don't feel like embracing it, they don't feel like being a part of it, because internally they are not comfortable with it. So inclusion does not just mean through external forces giving opportunities, but also internally, whether we are ready to embrace it or not. So I think it's very important for us. When the first wave hit, I was sure that everything will cool down, everything will be all right, and maybe in a year we'll go back to normal. But when the second wave hit, I realized that how important it is to make ourselves, force ourselves to collaborate, force ourselves to be a part of activities, classes, competitions, everything. So I think in this panel, I want to realize, how can I help people, how can I help my friends, my best friends, my classmates, my peers, that to make themselves feel included. Because sometimes unintentionally we make them feel excluded. We make activities, we organize activities that only a specific part of the class, specific part of the university can be a part of it, and not the others. Like someone who may not have that great of an internet connectivity, or may not be that great. So through this panel, I want to really make myself realize that what are the different fields that can be explored, can be seen. Because we have the resources, like we had the resources that are available right now, but we never got the time to explore it. But now, because of the pandemic, we have the time to explore it, which we have. So there are many more resources which are yet to be explored and to learn from, to visit, and I want to know what are the ones. So thank you so much for making me a part of this panel. Over to
Thank
Shelly
you
ma'am
very
now.
much. Yes, thank you very much, Sahana Arya. Uh, very well explained, and you've touched upon some very significant points which will be mooted on later on. Thank you very much. Next up, we will hear views of a parent. And for that, we have Dr. Manjaring Singh. Dr. Manjari Singh, welcome. Welcome to the session. And Dr. Manjari Singh is an English professor and in the Department of English in University of Delhi. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shelley.
We'd like to hear your views on collaboration and inclusivity now.
Right. Very good afternoon to everybody. Let me begin by thanking Sushant University, Professor Vibhuti Sachdeva, Ms. Tanaya Verma, Dr. Shelly Bhanshanjali herself for giving me the opportunity to participate on this forum, which empowers multiple stakeholders to be heard and to be visible in a synergistic, collaborative sharing of concerns and brainstorming for solutions. Being a parent as well as an academician, I have the privilege of traversing both the roles in my attempt to throw light on the changes that the field of education is experiencing since the onset of the pandemic. Can I request for somebody to run the PowerPoint that I had shared? Is it possible? Yes, thank you. Can we go to the next slide? And I shall just be indicating slide share by calling out for the slides to be changed. The COVID-19 pandemic has created the largest disruption in human history. This forced isolation that it has wrought has very interestingly forced us to reflect on the interconnectedness of the world and to rethink and reimagine our current ways of living and socializing. The educational disruption that the pandemic has caused has had and will continue to have substantial effects beyond education. There is an imperative on us now to reflect on the purpose of education and to revisit our life goals. I would like to elaborate on and expand the scope of today's theme of inclusion, collaboration in education. It is pertinent here to imagine who are the unheard ones whose voices need to be heard and amplified. Who are the ones who are at the risk of being left out or left behind? Now, the list of stakeholders in the education project would include not only teachers, students, parents, industry representatives, but the larger community itself within which the educational enterprise is embedded. At the end of the day, education is a bilateral phenomenon, and the community which comes together as a whole to enable and support educational aspirations needs reciprocity from the privileged few who can give back to it. Education is at its heart about human connections, connections between students, teachers, parents, caregivers, industry, and broader communities. Learning itself is a social act in which participants talk, share, plan together, and create major goals. And herein, I again extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Sushant University for initiating such dialogues through today's platform. Please change slide. Now, education is not only a fundamental human right. It is an enabling right with a direct impact on the realization of all other human rights. As such, education is the bedrock of just, equal, inclusive, peaceful societies. And when education systems collapse, prosperous, productive societies cannot be sustained. Before the pandemic, the world was already facing formidable challenges in fulfilling the promise of education as a basic human right. And the post-pandemic world is seeing an exacerbation of all its vulnerabilities. Change slide, please. With the pandemic came closure of educational institutions, which has hampered the provision of essential services to children and communities, including access to nutritious food for some, affecting the ability of many parents to work, and increasing risks of violence against women and girls. In the most fragile education systems, this interruption of the academic year has had a disproportionately negative impact on the most vulnerable pupils, those for whom the conditions for ensuring continuity of learning at home are limited. Today, even as every household becomes a classroom, more often than not, it is a classroom without an environment that supports learning. The most vulnerable learners are those who have poor digital skills, have the least access to hardware and connectivity required for distance learning solutions. In technical and vocational education and training systems, vulnerabilities including low level of digitalization, long-standing structural weaknesses, all of these had been brought to light by the crisis. The pandemic-induced crisis has exacerbated pre-existing educational disparities by reducing the opportunities for many of the most vulnerable children, youth, those living in poor or rural areas, girls, to continue their learning. So we will need to include all these groups when we try to imagine those who need to be heard. Learning losses also threaten to extend beyond this generation and erase decades of progress, not least in support of girls and young women's educational access. Preventing the learning crisis from becoming a generational catastrophe needs to be a top priority for the world's leaders and entire educational community. Change slide, please. Conversely, this global crisis has also been an extraordinary time for learning and reinventing. Again, is the catchword here. We are learning how adaptable and resilient educational systems, policymakers, teachers, students, and families can be, as Zora had just pointed out from one example from her family. So collaboration and resilience both. This crisis has stimulated innovation within the educational sector, and I can surely speak for my own university, which has all along been a very traditional mode of a central university. And suddenly, with the onset of the pandemic, how quickly and how efficiently the systems have moved, the systems have upgraded, teachers have upgraded, and how quickly we have all seamlessly migrated to online teaching modalities. That's an example in itself. Now, these changes have also highlighted that the promising future of learning and the accelerated change in modes of delivering quality education cannot be separated from the imperative of leaving no one behind. The massive efforts made in a short time to respond to the shocks to education systems remind us that change is possible. We should seize the opportunity to find new ways to address the learning crisis and bring about a set of solutions precisely considered difficult or impossible to implement previously. Please change slide. Our focus should be on addressing learning losses and preventing dropouts, particularly of the marginalized groups, offer skills of employability programs, support the teaching profession and teachers' readiness, expand the definition of right to education to include connectivity, strengthen data and monitoring of learning, strengthen the articulation and flexibility across levels and types of education and training. The goal of inclusive and collaborative education should be to reach all learners, empower teachers, engage an ecosystem of partners, and rigorously and routinely use data to learn what strategies, policies, and programs are effective to maximize student learning. Change slide, please. Engaging stakeholders, like education directors, teachers, parents, caregivers, industry, can enhance the education system's resilience. It is essential that the teachers and communities be better prepared and supported if equitable and inclusive learning in and beyond classrooms is to be guaranteed. Technology alone cannot guarantee good learning outcomes. More important than training teachers in ICT skills is also ensuring that they have the assessment and pedagogical skills to meet students at their level and to implement the accelerated curricula and, very, very importantly, the differentiated learning strategies which are likely to emerge. These stronger linkages will allow education systems to become more equitable and inclusive, as well as more effective in fulfilling their mission, more efficient in their use of resources, and better equipped to serve the needs of their communities and the society at large. Thank you so much.
Taking us through an understanding of the theme so well, so brilliantly. I can only say that we are looking forward to hearing from you more later. Thank you, Dr. Manjri. Next up, we have the industry view, and the representative from the industry is Mr. Bikram Nayak. I welcome you, Mr. Bikram Nayak, sir. And he's currently the head of human resource of Lawson and Toubro Next, a part of an amazing team that creates unique solutions in IoT and much more. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Saili. And good afternoon, dear students, dignitaries, parents, and a lot of other people who have joined this unique seminar, or I can say the workshop you have organized, Sushant University. Dr. Saili, I would like to congratulate all of you for this great theme and thought process of bringing collaboration and inclusivity uh, as a seminar topic, which is unique in the sense I'll tell you why. Today morning, I was just going through the headlines, news headlines, and something which caught my eyes is the recent statement which has come from Buckingham Palace, that the Buckingham Palace spokesperson has mentioned that Buckingham Palace must do better on collaboration, diversity, and inclusiveness with regard to the royal sources on the backdrop of Harry and Meghan issue. So this is so contemporary. It's not all about the pandemic, which Johra, Shahana, and Dr. Manjari spoke about. It's not that it has come to the limelight last 15 months or 16 months. It is always there, not only in India, but globally. There is a concern. There is something which we should ponder upon and act appropriately so that we create a better place or better world. So congratulate Sushant University and the organizing committee for bringing up this particular topic, because which is something we should talk more often, and it's a great initiative by bringing up and showing the world or showing the students, parents that we all are same and with you. First of all, let me wish all of you good health, and I hope these are unprecedented times and all of you are staying safe. Colleges not started, institutes are not started. You are at home. I myself at home, working from home, and I wish all of you are safe and taking care of yourself. One more thing which caught my attention is no, there is a saying: proof of the pudding is in eating. When you bring the topic or title for the seminar, and you brought two James, I say they are James, Johra, and Sahana, because the way they set the context and set the expectations, and the way you brought the parents, including Dr. Manjari Singh, and so many must be there. That shows you are so serious about the topic. It is like demonstrating what you preach or what you say. That itself, impressed me a lot. The thought process, the empowerment, the inclusivity in general. That means, it's not just, word of mouth or talking. It's demonstrating that we are serious, we want to involve. And as I told you, the proof of the pudding is in eating. It's like charity begins at home. It is like you have shown that, yes, the collaboration, inclusivity starts with us, starts from me, starts from my students. So congratulations to Johra and Sarana, because you guys very aptly put the context, the kind of things you expect from the industry and all. I'll get into more details into that. And the same way, Dr. Manjari also put so many good things, which is sums of the whole intention of this particular event. Let me start with another example of collaboration and inclusiveness from the sporting world. I'll keep giving a lot of insights other than academics, because academics, I know the students are there, professors are there, parents are there, they'll touch upon. I'll talk more about social, political, and cultural things, and also from the industry point of view, because the moment you start relating with what is happening real time in the world, you'll the learning will be faster, and the future course of action will be even better. Let me start with the sporting world, the cricket, because we all love cricket. Unfortunately, India last evening lost the World Test final. So in cricket, if you see few years back, maybe a decade or half back, in the Indian cricket team, you will see the people are coming from the metro cities and cities like Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, where or Delhi per se, that sense, from tier one cities and very structured, places and all. All this, collaboration and inclusive all started with small kind of things, with MS Dhoni coming into the team. So he has come with no recommendation, and no, there is quota system that somebody should east or central part of India also should be part of the team. Comes with merit, and when you open up that channel, when you reach out to more and more centers or nodal centers, I can say in that sense, you get more and more talent. In industry also, if my headquarter is in Chennai or in Mumbai, I should not look at guys only from Chennai or Mumbai. We should aim at talents from Northeast, talent from Jammu and Kashmir, South, Union Territories, because when you bring diverse people in the in terms of gender or in terms of geography, ethnicity, all those things, my dear students, they have touched upon. You bring tons of experience and all. Just bringing them is not enough. Just bringing one MS Dhoni is not enough. If you empower them, if you see their talent and nurture them, they will do miracles. So he is the most successful captain. The result is the most successful captain of Indian cricket or Indian cricketing history. Same way in the industry, when you bring people from these places, I said the nodal centers or different places, empower them, give them a voice, give them the freedom to do what they want to do and what the best thing to do, then the organization's profitability, organization goes to much more higher proportion. That is real time. I have seen that is similar experience. We have in particularly companies governed by people or companies where stakeholders are their own people, because Larsen and Toubro is such company where we don't have any promoter or no proprietor driven thing. It is like people company. It is the major shareholders are the people. When we bring that kind of talent and that kind of empowerment, you can see the last so many years, the growth, the kind of innovation, the kind of things we have done, not only in India, all over the world, is phenomenal. So all these things in industry, as we get into the panel discussion, I'll touch upon. And one more major thing, which I myself, being with L&T for last 24 years, I joined as a trainee, and I worked in various region, various roles, various kind of capacity, from head talent acquisition to head HR to head performance management. That kind of freedom, that kind of inclusiveness, I myself have experienced, and I have seen organizations how it has changed. In our own organization, maybe a decade or two back, we used to have hierarchies, like people used to sit in cabins, and that was kind of very coveted things, like if you become senior managers or general managers, you get a room, and that shows a lot of authority, power, and all those kind of things. That was the thought process few decades, few years back. Today, I have seen how it has changed from that kind of structure, matrix structure, or a structure of hierarchy. It has become very flat. So 2 years back, when I did a platform business started within my company, I said the simple coders, the people who does the coding, they will also be treated as platform developers, and somebody who is having 15 years, 20 years experience also will be at the same platform, because the innovation, the engineering, it doesn't applies person. There are two things. One is the horizontal thing, and the vertical, the depth wise they may be kind of little superior kind of thing, but the width wise they're doing the same work. So we brought them into the same platform and made it very flat organization, and the result was fantastic, because when people get empowered, they feel doing the things together, and there is much more cross-functional initiatives and collaboration happen among all the departments. The result was faster. So that brought I told the changes which I myself have witnessed in organizations. Same thing happens in the social thing also. So with these few initial remarks, I will hand over to Dr. Saili again, and when we catch up during the panel discussion, I'll touch upon more things. Over to you, Dr. Saili.
Thank you, Mr. Vikram Nayak, for all the insights and the illustrations, and we definitely are looking forward to listen to more from you. Thank you very much. I would request the other panelists to please join in. I would request Zuhra Fatima to come in, Sahana Arya to come in, please, Dr. Manjari Singh, and Mr. Vikram Nayak again to join in for a panel discussion, please, on collaboration and inclusivity. Because it's now time for the panelists to come together on this platform, which in itself is an example, an exemplification of collaboration and inclusivity, of diverse stakeholders, voices which have not been heard. So the strong and confident and the candid expressions and voices of the students also, we are waiting to hear. So kindly join Sahana and Zohra, we'd like to hear from you, and Dr. Manjari Singh. So till they join, I would like to talk to you, Mr. Vikram Nayak, that today, with disruption, we are talking of a collaboration of a different kind, because on the online platform, but working from home, you're also working from home, these spaces are inherently siloed. We are there in our own spaces. So in what ways, specific ways and manners, you enhance or enable an inclusive culture for your teammates, Mr. Vikram Nayak?
The first and foremost thing is acceptance. You have to accept that this is going to stay, and this is not a small or short-term phenomena. It's going to be there for quite some time. The acceptance of coming together on a platform, and irrespective of time zones, irrespective of, because you are tuned to, as Johra was mentioning, okay, you might have a family of 10 or 2, or in your parents' house or grandparents' house. That itself is a very different kind of structure. So we do not know what the person is coming from. When we go to institutes or college and office, we go as a different person. We go as a professional having some objective to complete your work and come back, or study and come back. But while doing at home, there are other environmental factors. I do not know. I'm working from home, whether there is some shutdown in my area, power will be there or not, Wi-Fi will be there or not. So we live in a VUCA world, which is redefined as volatile, uncertain, corona, and ambiguous world. Okay, so this is the new VUCA. So we do not know. I have taken my first shots. I do not know whether how many of you have taken your shots, jab till. So when you take your first shot, the first 2 3 days you have some issues and all. I do not know whether I am talking to Dr. Sailis, and you are very much kind of prepared and all. Whether you have gone through that shot or not, whether what is happening there, I have no idea. The acceptance of empathy, the acceptance of we all are the same page. What is going to happen next day, we do not know. The acceptance that we are talking, we are alive, we are still human beings and interacting. That acceptance is the key to collaboration. The collaboration starts with me thinking the other person might have in some other issues or concerns and all. I do not know. By coming to the screen itself shows commitment. By coming to the screen shows he would have put so much of effort to come and join work without knowing what is happening on the backdrop. You cannot shut the door and say that, yeah, I have a meeting, please don't disturb. I said examples. If the power cut is there, what you will do? If the Wi-Fi doesn't work, what you will do? So the acceptance of key, this is something, and if we can collaborate, we can understand each other. The only one word I want to say here is empathy. If you understand the person or what is there, you cannot be saying, I have fixed the meeting from 12 to 1, be available, it's my way or highway. Those things are gone. This is the world where we have to remember that if somebody is alive, talking and sharing his thoughts, wisdom, and work, that itself is tons of wealth. So I think I touched upon your initial kind of thoughts or queries,
Yes,
questions.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, the acceptance, as you said, opening of hearts and minds a little more and give space, mental spaces and heart spaces. And very interestingly, we are talking of the word re. Most of the panelists have been talking of the word re. And here I see that you have redefined the acronym VUCA with the connotation of corona, including, so corona is getting included here as well. Well, in the course of her presentation, Dr. Manjari had talked about Zora. She had talked about who are the unheard ones. Some voices need to be amplified. They need to be heard. Zora, in your opinion, in the education system, do any entities, people, categories come to your mind which are not included, neglected probably?
Ma'am, I genuinely feel that it's never a very intentional thing to do when we are actually talking about inclusion and exclusion. I think we have become more sensitive now. I think now when we are talking, like as Bitter sir said, that empathy is something that has become such an integral part of our lives. But back when, or even now, right now, there are a lot of times that there are so many things going on in our head, and sometimes we just want to get the work done. For example, even if we want like some people for a competition, we will go to those people who we already know have worked, or we have seen them interacting in the class, and we know, okay, we can pick up these people. But there are a few shy people in the class who do not like really like to express. Like, I was one of those people who never really expressed what I wanted to do. But then I realized that slowly, that why are certain people given a chance more than I am? What is happening? What is there something that I also need to change? I realized that there is some type of comfort level that we all need to get out of, or I'm not saying forcefully get out of, but we need to actually, I think, touch upon these things, that how can we also improve. But I understand that there are a lot of shy people, a lot of people who are not able to communicate, who think that they might be laughed upon if they put a certain opinion forward. I have a lot of friends who do not like to answer in the class because they think they will be wrong, and everybody will start laughing or just make fun of it in the break time. So there are a few of us who still feel that way, and like, I think there has to be a genuine step from our side as well if we want to be heard. Like, even the smallest of villages now have people who are coming up because they have had it. They do not think that if they do not speak right now, if they do not actually demand for things, there will be unheard. So I think there is some type of realization that is that people are imbibing now, that we need to step up now. I think this is something.
Sana, yes, Sahana, we heard Zohra, when I asked her who are left out within the education system. When we talk of the system, we know that there are many people, diverse people and categories and stakeholders. What do you think? Would you like to take on a different note of this question? We'd like to hear you muted. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Go
Yes.
ahead.
So I completely agree with what Zora said, but I'd also like to add on a little a new topic that's the part of psychology, like I mentioned in before as well, that it's not just giving opportunities, but again, it's whether you want to embrace the opportunity. There are a lot of introverts, a lot of people, like she said, who are shy, who get an opportunity but don't want to embrace it because they think that they've never done it, so the teacher may not like it. Plus, for someone who has been doing activities for a very long time, I take my example itself. I have a very different comfort zone with a lot of professors because I've worked with almost all the professors in my branch. But someone in my class who may be slightly better than me may not come ahead and perform the same because that person may be afraid that the teacher may not like the work she has done, or she may not do it as well as I do it, or that comfort level is not there. So, in the topic of inclusivity, we are collaborating, we are cooperating, but we are not ready to be a part of it, not just because we're not getting the right opportunities, because we don't want to embrace those opportunities, because I've seen it happening.
All right, Sahana. Dr. Manjari, you heard these students talking. So now I'm taking it to a different. I want to ask you, Dr. Manjari, is that how can education begin to collaborate with external stakeholders, those who are outside the education system, so that more voices are taken in, inclusive and collaborated?
Right. So, Dr. Shetty, first and foremost, I'd like to bring about a kind of an understanding of what is education in the first place. And I often pose this question to my students in the classroom when I ask them, what is education? So, ma'am, whatever we are learning, whatever we are reading, but not really. In my opinion, uh, after you have graduated out of the formal educational system and a few years have passed by and you have really forgotten what you had learned, then what remains with you is education. That which you are able to imbibe and assimilate in yourself for good. That is education. So now in the education sector, how can we collaborate with outside stakeholders? So definitely a very systemic answer would be that, there are various levels. There is the government, so that is one huge stakeholder. And in terms of policy making and, how the funding is coming in for education, then we can look at the pedagogical policy makers. We can look at the HRD ministry or whatever the mandates they give us. So that is one way to look at it. I personally would prefer a more, not a top-down approach, but a reverse approach, where we look at the society within which we are embedded, and we extract our partnerships, our strength, and our responsibility and accountability to them, and we move upwards from there. Okay, so I think that is a good space to start when we talk about creating even multiple learning centers. Each home can be a learning center, each community can be a learning center. We are a nation of great diversity, and diversity in all forms and aspects: geographical, cultural, regional, religious, class diversity. Okay, and especially in the online mode which we are forced to take today, there are many people who are getting left out because they do not have access, they do not have the wherewithal, and so many other factors. So truly I believe that if we work from within the community and then move upwards, so maybe at the policy level, the people who are sitting right at the top should really construct and think of modalities where they can create multiple regional nodes. Okay, whether it is through the panchayat systems or whatever establishment they have at the mass level, and approach the entire thing so you can take everybody along together. Diversity, difference, and discrimination. These are three words which are very interlinked. Diversity is the presence of this beautiful phenomena of vividta, of diversification. Difference is when you start seeing how one is different from another. So it's no longer a bouquet, it's different, maybe flowers put together. But unfortunately, the human psychology, the human history will tell us that very, very quickly diversity and difference translate into discrimination. Okay, and even if we are not imagining these stakeholders who are at the fear of being left out, we are discriminating. So really at the top level and at the mass level, there is a need to imagine all these stakeholders who are marginalized, disempowered, be it women, be it children, be it poorer communities, be it those who do not have digitalization and these skills with them. So multiple ways of imagining their constraints. There's a huge need for the educational sector and for the government and for the world leaders to really sit and think about these issues.
Yes, Bikramji, Dr. Manjari just said there's a huge need because there's a gap, and then there's a need for an entire shift and lot of extra steps to achieve what we are conceiving right now. Is it okay for a leader to say, I don't know, I don't have the answers, can you please tell me? Some kind of a collaboration you're including. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give you again, the recent example. First of all, we have to respect individuality. As Dr. Manjari said that, you cannot have everything or can generalize that all have to be in the same platform or podium. Whether education system or social system, we have to respect the person's strength or what he is good at. Let us take the recent thing what happened in the French Open. Osaka, the celebrity tennis world number one, famous woman tennis star, she was asked to give an interview post match, which she said no, I can't because this is something I am not comfortable. I can't. So she has to withdraw the uh, French Open. It's not that it's ego or I don't want to come to the media and praise and give. It's that she's uncomfortable. You have to respect the person. You have to respect. She is in French Open to play tennis, not to give interviews and all. There are certain. It's very debatable thing. In education also, when we come to studies and all, the purpose is to make a life out of it. As Dr. Manjari said, education is not just to get a degree or just to have some certificates. Education is the passport for your wellness, your living, your maturity, your growth, your evolution as a human being. That is education. Education is not a certificate. You cannot force key you have to complete this course or you have to complete this, then you will become an entrepreneur or a bread earner for your family and all. That is not the way to look at. Leadership is basically to see the potential and bring the person what he is best at or good at. Today, in organizations, I'll tell you, it is no more that we are you are postgraduate or graduate in engineering, then only you'll apply for this role or this position. The thing has changed from that to your skill or competence. Today, companies like Tesla, companies like Amazon, they don't recruit people postgraduate or graduate in engineers. If you are 10th pass, if you do coding, if you can perform the task to your greatest ability, you are onboarded. There is no discrimination. There is nothing like you have to complete minimum bachelor's degree, then you are eligible for this thing. Why these things are changing? Because the world has understood it is not the degree or the certificate, it's the competence. Why you were saying the coding, even a fifth standard guy or 10th standard guy, there was a time when in IT industry we used to have a lot of guys going to computer science courses and doing certificates and all. They will get into organizations. Today a BCom graduate or a BA graduate or even a 12th class or 12th standard pass, if he knows the skill, he is onboarded. So here, what point in summary I wanted to tell, you have to respect individuality, you have to respect the skill, you have to respect the person is competent or not, whether he is able to perform the task. That is more important than the education. And the motto of education should be to make self-sufficient, to understand. We cannot force them that no, you have to complete this and all. So I think I have made my points. I'm open for any further discussions or deliberations.
Yes, absolutely, Sahana and Zohra, because you heard the industry voice from Mr. Vikram Nayak. Is there any question or anything which you want to ask him? Please feel free to do so. All right. So what comes to your mind when we talk of inclusive culture? What are the best strategies and practices, Sahana, that you feel? Because Mr. Vikram Naik talked of acceptance, empathy. Dr. Manjari also explained it very well, So what comes to your mind, you as a student?
Me as a student, getting other students involved, it's giving more opportunities for those who do not take part a lot, who are not able to come out and express themselves, giving them an opportunity, encouraging them, pushing those students. In, for example, in my own class, there are a lot of students who do not really perform, do not take activities really seriously, or do not are not a part of them. So to encourage them, to motivate them, to push them, make more activities involved. We had one as an activity to register ourselves in different courses, and that's when I conducted my lecture in School of Law, because I was given an opportunity. So I think such opportunities of conducting lectures or encouraging them to do something different from all the other students should be promoted more, so it can not just bring them into the limelight, but also improve a lot of skills that are there, enhance them. They can work on them and become more efficient. And during this pandemic, it's very important to excel in a lot of things other than your course that you're doing, because you don't know that tomorrow will you get a job in the course you've done or in the course that you are interested in. So you don't know what opportunity you'll get, so you should just be in confident enough and good enough to grab every opportunity you get in whatever field.
Okay, so we are also looking at opportunity in crisis, and that's a good way of looking at it, sure. And Zohra, Dr. Manjari had talked about multiple centers of learning. So, by education and learning, the entire focus goes to the university and the campus and the classrooms. Multiple centers of learning.
Yeah.
What sense did it give you? How do you feel about those multiple centers of learning? Do you get
I get
excited,
Yeah,
enthusiastic?
I get very excited because this is something that I'm very passionate about. How to reach out to the masses, how to reach out to them with what you know, so that it is not just limited to you, how it reaches out to people. So, when I was actually working on a project for NASA, which is a architecture competition, we came across this brief how we can completely change a sort of a building which is being used as which is a very temporal function, meaning that it is being used as a educational center in the morning and as a cultural center in the evening. So that is something that we can actually start, because it is not a lot of expenditure. There are these sort of buildings that are already in place in these small villages, be it in terms of PHC centers or even in terms of these Angarwadis. We have all these centers. So it is very important to actually use this in this sort of way that it has multiple uses throughout the year. It is not being just shut down for a couple of months or even years for that matter. So it becomes very important. Also, adding to that, these multiple centers, it is a very nice idea, and I think it is something that India has been working towards for a past couple of years, where they're trying to get this type of education for our marginalized communities, but it is somehow not uh, being accepted by them also, because they feel that because whenever there is somebody from the community who starts teaching, except somebody who's coming from outside, I think it gives a very nice expectation also. Because if I am living in a small village and if I see my neighbor actually going out and teaching all of us and sharing their experience with us, how they went to a city and how they worked upon these things, and now they're telling us, I think it gives you a very nice approach to your situation as well. You understand, if you are going to give priority to this, maybe your life condition or your maybe future will have a lot more value than what you are told when you're living in these small communities, that okay, you are only made for these jobs, you're only made for these things. So I think it will be a very nice thing to happen. And I think education is a right, and it is not a right to choose, but it is something that everyone should have, irrespective of where they come from, what they believe in. I think it is a must. And I get really excited about when ma'am, Dr. Manjari, actually spoke about this, how we should have these multiple centers, because one solid institution cannot really reach out to a lot of people. It is only when we are divided into these classes, even our batches or classes, that is when we get that type of information from our teachers as well. So I think we should really look
Mr.
forward.
Vikram, when you hear a student Zohra, talking of this concept which Dr. Manjari also elaborated, multiple centers of learning, it's a very different kind of education or perception of that. The roadmap has to be chalked out. How do you feel as an industry leader? Because they are potential employees of the industry. So, what sense it
So,
gives you?
yeah, a couple of things. The sense of take example of the IITs and IIMs. Maybe 10 years back, when we talk about IITs, we had prominently 4 or 5 IITs, and today the whole concept which the students spoke and Dr. Manjari. You want to democratize education and send it to more centers. More people can enroll. It's not only the numbers, also the quality also will not compromised. Same in case of IIMs. Even from initial 6 or 7, we can say the tier one IIMs. Today we have almost 22 IIMs. So this is studying in IIM or aspiring for IIM has reached out to masses. It's not that only in a population of 40 crore, 50 crore, or people say 20 lakhs, they are aspiring to get into IIMs. Now the horizon is bigger. There is more opportunities. The not only geography wise, also in terms of number of intakes. So that has been done consciously. The Ministry of Education has brought great things in the country. Let me not confine to only the Indian context of the thing. There was a time to get a degree from say Harvard or say Michigan University or from Oxford or this thing. It was like a dream. Somebody going to UK or US and get study and get the degree. Today, technology and internet has brought all those things to our doorsteps. So today, to get some courses on machine learning, artificial intelligence, don't need to go to Stanford or Michigan or say Oxford. You can do it sitting at your home and all. We should compliment and congratulate the growth of technology, the growth of internet, so that even in smaller cities or in a village also the person has the will or skill to do that. The person can kind of enroll and get that done. And coming again, something which Shahana was talking about, how to push the people who are not able to express themselves and all. It's all about the life has become more simpler with two things. One is the social media, where you yourself can judge or reach out to masses rather thinking whether my voices is heard or not. That shows because they're a very small town guys. They have become so popular overnight with their thought process or with their individuality and thinking differently. Social media, one. Second one, I was talking about technology. When we talk about artificial intelligence, the students, the rating system, the grading system, or the competitiveness now comes in a various forms and ways. Today, or no, wait for 3 months or 6 months to get the result and see where we stand vis-a-vis other students. The relativity has become so fast. You have leaderboards. While the hour after the classes or things, okay, there are quizzes, there are so many things. What we call gamification, which has brought lot of changes, competitiveness. Even somebody who is not very expressive, he will also get excited and enthused to get in the leaderboard because that gives you instant result, instant notification that among the 50 students where you stand. And when with the help of technology you get instant results or kind of the motivation comes internally. You don't need somebody to push you key why you are coming with this grade or this percentage. It's just in front of you. Suppose for example in corporate, when we are five faculties, okay, in a training session they are giving lectures. Okay, they don't need to wait for 3-4 days to get the feedback. The feedback comes just naturally. There is a poll in the the kind of you have system, Google poll or Google forms, or then you will get the result instantly, and that motivates. So it's faster, so that you can do more and more things. So with technology, one,
Right.
and gamification and all these initiatives, things have been better and getting better and more competitive in that sense.
Absolutely.
Over to you.
Dr. Manjari, you've been listening to the perspectives of the students as well as Mr. Bikram. Your reflections, what is it that you want to talk about on these viewpoints that you just heard?
Well, I must say it's very uplifting to hear students who are so aware, who are so articulate. It's very uplifting to hear Mr. Bikram Nayak and to see people like him at the helm of the industry who have such a great understanding of the need of the hour, which is empathy, which is also he understands the latest of technology and the power of technology and the power of outreach. I think it is really, really wonderful. And I just wanted to add a little bit on, this whole question of inclusivity. And I think Zora had pointed out correctly so that inclusion and exclusion are two sides of the same coin. So the moment
Right.
you are including, there is going to be automatic exclusion too. So, say for example, in a classroom, when all of us teachers we are providing a lecture, it's an act of inclusion exclusion. The moment you decide what is the level at which you are going to peg your lecture, because there is a diversification in the class, there's a diversity in the classroom. Not all students are same level learners. So I do feel that inclusivity really in the educational system, particularly in the classroom, would uh, come into its own once we also realize that not every child, not every student has to come up to the normative. So we learn not just to accept the difference, we learn how to enable the difference, how to celebrate the difference. And be it for students who are special needs students or slow learners, or that is I think a very, very important takeaway for me from this discussion, that and it's very, very heartening and uplifting to see a young generation, Sahana, Zohra, very articulate, very confident, very thoughtful, reflective young students, and future of our country and the future of our industry, Mr. Nayak, if I may say so, seems to be quite secure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to talk to the students, Sahana and Zohra. You've heard all the viewpoints, you know. We're talking on collaboration and inclusivity. How does a pyramid look to you? Not the image, the structure. Will it work now?
I think we've completely changed the shape of the pyramid. It's completely flat now, and everybody is a leader in their own right and in their own way. And I absolutely love that everybody is coming up with their own ideas, with their own type of help that they can provide to the society. And that is the best way of collaborating, I think. Now that we have reached this level, that we can all provide in whatever way, even if it is a small call to the grocery store that please provide this to my neighbor, or even if it is coming up with this webinar and talking about collaboration when a lot of people are hearing us and our thought process. So I think we have completely, and I think pandemic has completely changed the way how we used to look at the pyramid scheme, how there was one person who used to tell two people and then those people used to tell. I think we are all on the same page. We are all dealing with the same situation emotionally, financially, physically. We are all dealing with the same thing. And I think it's absolutely amazing that now we are all actually growing as a society. And I think this will, in the future, it will completely change the way how we look at leadership also. How much do we expect from our leaders? How much do we expect from each other? So I think that definition has changed for me.
Sahana, do you echo these thoughts? Do you want to add
I
something on
do,
this?
I do, I do, ma'am. I mean, I'm in support of a leader being there, that pyramid. I'm in support of that. And I'm also in support of that we are on the same page. Now, no one's going to hesitate whether we can help our neighbor, what is our neighbor going to think, or this person going to think. So I'm in support of both. And I'm happy that everyone is ready to help each other without asking. I see on my friends' Instagram stories or WhatsApp stories that so and so person needs a plasma, so and so person needs a little bit of help. Could you help? So no one is thinking twice now and helping. No one is hesitating that my senior may not like it, or my colleagues will think. Everyone's on the same page, everyone is thinking the same way, everyone wants the same thing now, everyone wants peace, and that's the most important thing right now, that everyone's ready to cooperate with each other finally.
Thank you. Absolutely enchanting to hear the views of the students. Sahana Arya, thank you very much. Zohra Fatima, thank you. Dr. Manjari Singh, thank you. And Vikram Naikji, thank you for your valuable inputs and time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pam, for arranging all of this. It was great talking to everyone.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. And we can see the flattening of vertical structures and organizing like probably ants to enhance collaboration, agility, collective intelligences. So thank you so much. And I'd now like to invite Tanya Verma from the School of Art and Arts.
Thank you, Dr. Shelley. Thank you for your kind words. So it was a very engaging first day of the academic leadership program, Future Models and Strategies. Lots of interesting thoughts and perspectives have emerged from the opening two sessions of the day. Disruptive times, and the second one, collaboration and inclusivity. This has been a very unique model where we have taken on board the students, the parents, and the industry, the major three stakeholders to come on a platform and deliberate on a very important topic of future models for leadership, academic leadership to be specific. The morning session gave insight on how the stakeholders, students, parents, and the industries have navigated these disruptive times. So these times have been very challenging for all of us. And it was very heartwarming to hear the stories from all the three stakeholders. The student session brought the strong emotion of anxiety and also the inner resilience and coping up mechanism adopted by them. Shaurya, Anjora, Zohra, and Sahana shared their fears, the struggle, the belief for a better tomorrow, the resilience, and the skill which they mastered to cope with the dynamic times. Mrs. Namrata Kurmi, in the first session, along with Dr. Manjari, they expressed the concerns and expectations as a parent, the perspectives on how the disruption has brought about newer opportunities in ways things can be done, reimagined, and taken forward. The focus on well-being and health is revisited, and how mental and physical well-being is at the core. Dr. Ankita spoke about the key mantra, the 6 A's, which I really found very interesting and which are very apt to these disruptive times. They are to accept, adapt, attune, agile, align, and being aggressive. So as these being the keys to navigate the future, and also a very important thought emerged out of the first session was communication and connectedness to lead the way forward. We also saw that in these threads were taken very aptly in the second session, where the title was Collaboration and Inclusivity, has built on the philosophy of Vasudev Kutumbakam, instead on how the stakeholders, students, parents, and the industry have voiced ways of inclusion of all, resulting in a collaborative to face the future challenges. Zora spoke about the importance of inclusion of all, making resources available so that everyone is being cared for and being a part of the bigger decision making. How as students they have collaborated into various support groups and have navigated this entire challenging time. Dr. Manjari spoke on the promising future of learning. She also touched on how the new models of education should be included and all stakeholders should be a part in the decision-making process and develop the multiple centers of learning. That is a very, very innovative and a nice thought where, and we are in these times where it is truly coming into being. So a collaborative effort from all stakeholders, that is the student, academia, and the industry to prepare the future generation. Mr. Nayak spoke on how to be a more inclusive to all stakeholders in the industry and how people are at the core of all organizations and centers. He also talked about how education should prepare you for leadership roles, importance on skill and acceptance of competencies rather than degrees. Further to the things we have is the preparing for the future. The flattening of the pyramid is one key concept that has emerged from this session. So this flattening of pyramid will definitely give voice to all the stakeholders and make the stakeholders collaborate and co-create, understanding and being inclusive towards all with empathy at the core value. So lots of threads and concepts have emerged from the two sessions and will be deliberated upon by the industry leaders in the session tomorrow. Looking forward to having you all join us for the tomorrow session, which is timed at 3 o'clock. I would like to thank all the panelists, Mr. Bikram Nayak, Dr. Ankita Singh, Dr. Manjari Singh, Namrata Kurmi, the students, our very own students, Shaurya, Zohra, Sahana, and Anjora, for sharing their wonderful thoughts and raising their voices, because they represent the unheard voices, which are very important as stakeholders for the entire academic leadership. They have brought forth such relevant concepts and thoughts, which will take forward from deliberations in the last session titled Future Models and Strategies, which will be taken up tomorrow. Once again, thank you all for joining us for the discussion. I would also like to thank here Sushant University for taking this concept and developing this innovative SU Conclave 2021. Dean Sushant School of Art and Architecture, Dr. Vibhuti Sachdev, for developing the innovative concept and giving the thought process for this particular session. Also, I would like to thank Dean School of Business, Dr. Milind, for his valuable inputs. Our threadbearer for the session, Dr. Shaili Bhashanjali, for holding the session so seamlessly and making it so interesting and engaging for all of us. The session would not have been possible without the support of the SU IT team and also the collaborative partner APAC for hosting this session. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Okay. Thank you so much.